What's up, YouTube? This is part 2 of designing and building a website in Webflow. So if you joined me in last night, we basically left off here with the design. So we built out a couple of these screens in XD, and now I'm just sort of building it in Webflow, getting ready for to showcase this in my next tutorial or a part of this. So let's go ahead and just pick up building some of this. So I started with this drop down right here, and I have some of these simple little toggle drop down links right there. I'm not using the native Webflow drop down here because whenever you click on one of the links, it doesn't automatically close out the drop down, and I need that functionality here. So basically, I just have a div called drop down. I have this top piece called drop down toggle, and then underneath that, we have the drop down list. With a little bit of padding in here, and then inside we have the drop down contain to sort of separate the two. So that way you can hover anywhere inside this entire parent dropdown that holds both of them, and the dropdown will remain open. And whenever you hover off, we want to close the dropdown. So you can open it on click or hover, basically, so that way it works on mobile. I just have this simple little combo class called open. That's just going to flip that up like that, and then slide the dropdown open like that using classes. What's up, Noah? So this is what I have so far. Now I'm working on the jQuery for it. So let's go ahead and copy that class dropdown. In the jQuery builder, I have hover in for now of the dropdown. We're getting the dropdown we hovered over and adding a class of open to it. So I can just copy that code, and we'll head over to the page settings. We'll paste it inside the script tag here. And then I also want this to happen on click, but I'll sort that out later. And then we also have drop down mouse leave. We're just going to remove that class of open. Sorry, still open, but remove class. And let's save that, and let's just publish it. Let me remove this class first. Let's test that part out. So that part should be pretty straightforward. It's just going to be getting this to work on click as well. Yep, so we can hover in anywhere here. That's working great. So now let's work on the part that Webflow doesn't support with their native dropdown, which is anytime we click on one of these links, we want to close the dropdown out. Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining in. So let's go ahead and copy this class. Let's refresh. We're going to say on click this time of a dropdown link. We want to get the link we clicked on, and we want to get its entire parent, which I believe has the class of dropdown, and we just want to remove a class from that one of open, and that should close it out whenever we click on one of the links. Let's just paste that in there, and I'm going to test that out. So we'll publish and head over. Yeah, Nick, it was pretty late. It was definitely midnight for me last night, but just got to squeeze in time whenever it's available. All right, so if I click here, sure enough, it closes and I can hover back in. That is perfect. Okay, so what we need to do is also tie this some kind of way to a click event. So I think what I'm going to do is copy this first one here, because on mobile, the only way to open and close this is going to be on click. So we can do on click of the dropdown. So we want to add the class open. We want to remove the class open. We could just do a simple first click, second click. Like first time we click on this thing, open it. Second time we click, remove the class. But I don't think that's going to work here because say we click here, then this would be the second click and it would be removing that class. So we need this to be in sync with also this part here. We basically have a lot of triggers, whether it be the mouse leave, the mouse enter, whatever it's going to be, click of the drop-down link that's going to be opening and closing this drop-down. So for this one here, I think we're going to just do a very simple if statement where we can check for a condition, see if it's met. So in this case, what we want to check for is if the drop-down, which we can reference with this, has class of open. So if the dropdown has a class of open, that way we can make sure this is in sync with all these steps here. What do we want to do? So if it has the class of open, we actually want to remove the class of open. And then else, we can just do a little simple else statement, which means it doesn't have the class of open. Then we just want to add that class of open to it. So hopefully by doing this, it's going to keep our click events in sync with our mouse enter and mouse leave. And just to test this out, let's start by just commenting out these two lines just to make sure it syncs up with this one. Let's check that out. 10 p.m. Wow, it's pretty late. It's 8:30 here. So, all right. So, okay, I broke something. Hover in. Oh, duh, because I commented out the hover ins. All right, so we click. Then we click here. Okay, that didn't close it. So we're having an issue. Yeah, so that's not closing it at all. Let me make sure I didn't comment this out. Drop down link, we're getting the parent. Okay, so these are competing with each other is the issue. Because any click on a drop down link also counts as the click on the drop down parent. Yeah, so like by clicking on this link, it's saying, okay, you clicked on this link, so remove that class of open, but you also clicked on the parent, so the parent's going to check, does it have the class of open? No, it doesn't, so we're going to add it back on, so it's going to basically cancel out this guy here. So we're going to run into a couple issues there. So I think what we can do to fix that is instead of listening for a click on the entire parent, which is what's causing the issue, we can listen for a click on just this top part, the drop down toggle. And for that, we'll just change this here. And then instead of listening for if the toggle itself has that class of open, we need to find its parent, which is the entire drop down. And we want to check for if the parent has the class of open. And we want to do the same thing here and here. All right, let's see if that works. So we will publish, refresh, click, cool. Awesome, and this is perfectly in sync. That is awesome. Okay, so then we should be able to bring mouse enter and mouse leave back into the mix. And we should have a drop down that works all kinds of different ways on tablet, mobile, desktop, whatever. So let's publish. Yep. All right. Can click. Cool. Can hover in. Cool. Thanks so much, Leia. You're awesome. Thanks so much for all your content. Thank you. I'm so glad it's helpful. This stuff is really fun. All right. So yeah, this is working great. Hover in, hover out, and then click, and then yeah, we can click to close it too. Cool. Yeah, this is really cool. So now we can just work on changing out these classes right here. Like say we click on UI design, we want to remove the class from development, add it to the link we clicked on. That should be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to add that class of open to the parent real quick. And that's right here. My computer just started lagging all of a sudden. It's really weird. All right, so let's head back over here. Say on click a drop down link. We want to get the link we clicked on. We want to look for siblings with the class of drop down link with a combo class of, I think it was select it. And then we just want to remove a class from those siblings called select it. And then we can create a new step and get the trigger element again. And just add the class of selected onto the one we clicked on. Can't stick around, but want to let you know you helped me a ton with recent websites. Awesome. That's so great. Thanks, Colin. I'm glad the wizardry technique has been helpful. I'm using it right now on this site too. Definitely speeds things up. So cool. All right. So I need to start making comments on these things just to keep track of everything that's going on. So I'll just group all these guys together. Say this handles the open and close of the dropdown. And then this here handles the changing of the active link. And then also another thing I need to do is whenever we click on one of these, I need it to change the text of this one. So I guess I should have added that in as another step. So here, we'll just head back over. Change the game. Yeah, just like simple stuff that that used to take really hard to make responsive. It sort of speeds up a little bit. All right, so let's see. Trigger element again, which is the drop-down link. Then we are, what are we doing? We're getting the text of the drop-down link we clicked on, not of the drop-down link itself, but of the child. Oops, didn't mean to rename that class. There we go. So this one, find a child, and then get the text, and then let's save it in a variable called drop-down link text. And then we'll create a new step. And we basically want to grab the entire parent, which is this one. So use the trigger element, get the parent, and then we're looking for a child with this class here. And then we want to get the text and pull the text from the variable of drop down link text. All right, so this should work. Let's just check it out. And I just realized I don't need that entire click event. Just this part right here can go in there, and then I don't need two of these. All right, let's test it out. I guess I need to remove this class and publish. All right, so here we go. We hover over, click on UI design, changes the text to UI design, and it highlights that one. Click on illustration, changes the text to illustration and highlights the correct one, and it's closing it out. So this is perfect. We have a nice little setup here. So now we can move on to the links. Caleb said, the church Webflow template has been a true blessing. That's awesome. I'm so glad it's been helpful. I actually used the template to set up a site for my local church too. Just was able to get something up super quickly. All right, so we have this menu, we have this drop-down link. So is this just going to be a one-pager? So no, what this is a couple pages actually. And this is part of the next tutorial I'm going to do, which is how to use cookies to improve the user experience. So the whole idea is that we don't have to constantly ask the user for their settings. So like, for instance, if the user comes over to this page and decides they prefer a list view and they click on list view, we would want to remember that they chose list view. So when they head over to the tutorials page, right here, we would just automatically serve them up what they chose last. So they're not having to constantly change their settings from page to page. And also, like, if they favorite a couple of these and they head over to their favorites page, being able to pull in only the ones they favorite using cookies to track what they've done along the way. So I'm working on a couple sites right now where the entire content of the site and all the pages change, and it's dynamic based on what we know the user's interested in, based on what they've chosen from previous pages. So it's really powerful, and it can really do a lot of things for your clients, for the end user, for all these different things. So that's kind of what I'm going to be making a tutorial on. I'm just trying to get a basic UI down and built out so it can be ready for the tutorial. So hopefully that answers kind of what this is going to be. It's just a couple pages to show some of that functionality. So let's see. Now we have these drop-down links. Or these aren't drop-downs. These are just links. So the drop-down is going to change, is just changing category, not page. Yeah, it could do either or. And I think in this case, it's going to take you to a couple key landing pages for each one. So like this is the main structure in the footer, and you can jump down. So like if I click on tutorials, for instance, and it's going to take me to the tutorials page, but with UI, automatically select it. And then any page in the nav from here on out, like if I click on templates, it'll show me the UI templates because it already knows that I clicked on UI in the footer. I'm interested in UI, so it's only showing me the UI links up here, and I can change that at any time from the drop down. So it's just like an easier way to navigate. Instead of like this traditional format, it puts the burden on the user to read through all the categories, find the category they're interested in, and then select the corresponding things. But if we just have like buckets on the home page where they choose what they're interested in first, then we can serve them up only the content they care about. We're still given the opportunity to change it. But yeah. All right, what do we have? These are menu links. Let's just drag in a div right here. And it needs to go outside of the dropdown. That entire piece was just for the dropdown. Menu links. All right. Grab the menu, flex, center, distribute. How much padding do we need here? 71. Head back over here. 71. So I think I'll add it as padding inside the menu links div. That way if I use that drop down somewhere else, it can be reused without the padding. So now we'll drag in a link block that goes inside menu links. And this one is just a singular menu link. And then inside that div, we have menu, we'll call it link text, just for simplicity's sake. And what is this? Templates. All right. And then we also need the little div that is for featuring this guy right here, for showing which page is active. So that can be, I think that's 9 pixels. 9. Let's do radius and a background color. And oops, need to give this a class. Menu link active. And let's do, I guess, flex. Can align to the top like that. That's good. And then the space apart is really small, 4 pixels. Just plug that in. And then we can duplicate this and duplicate this one more time. And let's flex these all. And how much space do we need? 26. So I'll probably add this as a margin right there, which means I need to reduce whatever this was, 70. We can say, we'll just call it 50. All right. Cool. And then let's just plug this in. We have templates, we have tutorials, and the last one was favorites. All right. And then these will all be hidden by default, and they'll only be visible on the current page. So I'll just link this guy up to this current page. And I think the class Webflow gives it is w current, w-current. Let's see. Let's try it out real quick. We're getting every menu link, only the class with w-current. Say background color is red. Let's see. Yep. Okay, so it's getting that guy. We need to get the little dot inside, which is this class here. And so we're only getting the dot inside of the current link. And we're setting that one to display block. All right, cool. So that will change depending on what page we're on. That all looks good there. That's the nav. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. And this is going to be a repeatable class across all our pages. That has what is that, 197 top padding? I'll call it, this would go in the container. Yeah, I'm still at 368. It's going well. We're working on some really cool projects, so it's been keeping me pretty busy, but it's been really fun. Let's call this container main, and let's add that in. Does that feel right? Making sure, yeah, that's correct. Okay, so for this card, I'm fine with that. Maybe we'll just start with this design, this hero. What do I want to call this? Just call it header. And then inside the header, we'll have this card here. So this one's going to change too, based on the page. Just call it header left. And yeah, hi Harshit. It's morning time for you. Nice, doing good, man. How about you? Okay. Let's see. Sometimes XD just doesn't tell what the border radiuses are. It's kind of annoying. There we go. 20. Cool. And just give this background color. And see what the padding needs to be. 43. 43. How do I manage my time? I don't know, man. I'm still learning. I I usually do work around like 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. for YouTube stuff. So yeah. Let's see. This can be like an H1, just our large header. We need to make sure any text inside is the dark one. Copy this over. What's this? -70. It's pretty tight. Would be 0.7. All right, these little tab guys. This will be a reusable component, so we'll just call it tabs. And then link block would be tabs link. And then a paragraph text, tabs link text. And this would be development. And we can duplicate a couple times. Peach said, your website tutorials have helped me get my first job. That's awesome. What kind of work is it? Just Webflow building sites? 15. All right. Throw that in there. We got UI design and illustration. I think we're gonna leave, what is that? 29 pixels. We'll add that as padding on the bottom. It's maybe not quite that much because this text isn't really aligning perfectly either. Something like that. Cool. What's the height on this card? 480. All right, we're going to set that as a min height. And we'll also flex and align to the bottom. Need to back down some of this padding here too. B2B agency, nice. Awesome. Still not in love with this illustration. I never changed it, so we're just rolling with it. All right. Should I just gonna upload straight from the downloads folder? Which one was that? There's so many of these guys. Okay. Cool. Watch the EM tutorial, but still don't get it. Could you explain briefly? Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the whole wizardry technique is just based on elements that size. So it's like imagining you had sort of like an image or a Photoshop file. You're just scaling it up and down. Everything stays the same aspect ratio. The height of this card is staying the same. The text and all this is scaling up and down. And then at some point, things will get insanely large. So we need to implement a max width, and that's kind of where this comes in, where everything will just stop scaling at some point and stay neatly contained in the center of the screen. So basically how it works is we set the body font size to 1 viewport width, and then we add in a bit of max width container code based on whatever our container is. So our container here, max width is 1440. So you can get that from the actual wizardry site. You just have to implement this section here. What's your container size in Webflow? In this case, our max container is 1440. So we just copy this code right here, and then we paste it in right there. And then that basically stops everything from scaling at a certain size. Then over here, we just switch the body font size to pixels, and everything stops scaling, because otherwise you see it gets too small here. So we just switch it to pixels, and then everything just scales normally on tablet. But yeah, basically any heading sizes, image sizes, whatever, I'm just getting the pixel size here, and then taking the width of my artboard that I designed in XD, which in this case is 1920. So that goes right here. Artboard width is 1920. And then my element size, in this case, the height of this card is 480 pixels. So I just paste it in there. It converts it to EMs. And I use that right here in this min height field in this case. And it converts it all over. So the next web design trend is no max width, just everything massive. You know, I see that on a lot of award sites. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how it would work for a lot of like enterprise level sites. A lot of them just need everything neatly contained, but these award sites are just kind of designed that way a lot. But with wizardry, it's really easy to just like delete that max width code right there, delete this max width on your container, and then you have a site that just scales up indefinitely, but is still really easy to just stop the scaling from getting too small on mobile. So yeah, lots of control with that. Yeah, sure thing. The advantage to using this over like viewport width is, first of all, with viewport width, when things get too small right here, you have to like manually go in on each element and change the size on everything. But when you're using EMs, it's all relative to the body font size. So you can just increase and decrease the body font size of the parent. like this, and then everything inside increases and decreases in size. So yeah, makes things pretty fast. These sites are use case based, I think. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like they're often portfolio sites or something that really relies heavily on type contrast. Like sometimes the heading's the entire width of the container, and then they have smaller paragraph text. So there's all those different options. All right. Did I upload this illustration? Yes, I did. Cool. Still don't know quite what to name this guy yet. Oops. What did I do? Alright. I meant to grab this and drag it underneath. Alright. I'm going to need a container for this hero, or was it header? Left contain. And that's going to hold the tab and the heading. And then I want that to stack side by side, so I'll actually switch this back to horizontal. Align to the bottom, distribute apart. Let's just give a width on this image because it's super large right now. Okay, something like that is fine for now. All right, let's align this to center, and then what we'll do instead, because I need this illustration in the center, is we'll grab this div and give it a height of 100%. We can't do that because it's in a flex. Okay, what if we just do that? And then, which means we need to remove the height off this one, which means we can apply flex again here and do that. And then this will be like getting squished. So we'll just set it to contain and voila. Okay, we got something going on there. All right. And then these, I think, will just be background widths, background images. Let me see. Let's delete this. Nope, not the mask. Let's delete that. Oop. Can I delete just this color? Perfect, cool. And then I was going to try and remove the radius, but I guess it doesn't matter much at this point. All right, we'll just roll with this. We'll export it. Background SVG1. And we'll just upload it here. It's under desktop. And we'll select this header left. Give it a background image. We'll set center, cover, no tile. All right, and now we need to set up our grid structure. Okay. We'll call this hero grid. And drag the header into it. And this hero grid will do a grid like this. This first one will be 2. And the last one's 1. We can delete that. Let's figure out what our gap is. 16. Something like that should work. Cool. And I may need to give this a class too. We'll call it header image. And how far should it be? About. We're at 173. And right here. God, that did not convert right. I noticed sometimes when you type in numbers too fast, it see, now it updated it to the right value. So let's see, there we go. Cool. Have I tried client first yet? Yeah, I love the class naming part of it. In a lot of ways, it's a lot like BEM, um, in that like you don't have a ton of global classes. Everything's pretty unique to the section. And I noticed there's still like, underscores to represent elements inside of the main section. So yeah, a lot of that's just like super clean class naming, which is great. And I like the idea of using extra divs, like as opposed to tons of combo classes. I've started to do that intuitively a little bit, but seeing like someone else introduce that into a whole system is really cool. So yeah, and then all the information on accessibility was really helpful too. I read through all that; it's really neat. Let's see. So this is like a little featured card. I'll just drag in a div. Uh, yeah, my class naming for this project could be a little bit stronger for sure. I'm just kind of like trying to figure this out. Header, we'll call this header, right? Okay, and this is a featured card. I'll come back to that. Let's work on these next. So what do we got? This is our hero grid. We'll create another div and call this projects. And the padding is looking like 77. Cool. Cool. Yeah, sure thing. Do I prefer Figma or XD? I don't know. Like I've been using both, and both have their own pros. We are working on redesigning our website at 368 and bringing it over to Webflow. Finally, it's been a long time coming now, but we started designing the entire thing in Figma and realized that Figma doesn't like naturally convert over when you're ready to animate it, like make a prototype animation in After Effects. So we had to like take all the design work we did in Figma, bring it back over into XD, which was kind of a pain. There's some like workarounds, but they're not super clean, and you still have to like when you're uploading a Figma file to After Effects, like do a bunch of extra work. So we just switched back over to XD for that, but I like Figma's like auto layouts. A lot of the ways it works similar to Webflow, like Flexbox and the things you would just naturally expect. You can type text and it'll push the height of the card down, and everything just sort of works the way web should work, which is really nice. So yeah, there's pros and cons to both, but just being flexible, I think, is what's most important. All right. So what was I doing? Okay. Keep getting sidetracked. All right. So here we go. We have these. I think this is, what is this? 20. I didn't like create a type page for this either. So this is a little bit larger. I might make this like an H6. So we'll drag in a heading onto the page, H6. All right. This was 20. Gonna have to find a way to like stream without my computer going super slow and laggy. All right. What do we have? This is medium weight, so medium. Let's change this out. All right, and these are our little buttons. What should we call this whole top bar? So I called this projects. We'll just call it projects header. drag another div inside that. Projects button, or buttons, I guess. And then we can flex the parent apart. I think it was aligned to the bottom, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong there. And then these little guys, okay. This would be a link block. Project. Projects button, singular. How do you measure the elements pixel distance in XD? Yeah, I'm just holding down Option on Mac and then hovering over, like with one element selected, hovering over the element I want to measure the distance from. So this is 13, this one's 77, and then I'm taking the width of the entire artboard, which is 1920, and in the wizardry builder, just plugging in my XD artboard width is 1920. My distance from an element is 77 pixels, and that gives me my EM value there. So just getting it like that. So here we have, what is this? Paragraph text. So let's drag that inside here. Our projects button, I think it's gonna, the default view will be this one here. So it'll start with a background color of the card. What's our padding? We're looking like about 16 on top and bottom and about 30 on the sides. Let's bring that back over. All right. Oh, you can hold Alt on Windows. That's good to know. Let's call this grid view. And what's our border radius looking like? 12. Okay. I was gonna guess 20. I would have been wrong. All right. So that's the border radius on this one here. Let's duplicate that. And then what did I say this was? 13. All right. We'll just use margin here. And then this one is list view. And what else? So these need to change color based on, the icons need to change color based on the parent, what the parent's class is. So I think what we're going to do there is we're going to have to copy the icon and put it in an embed. So we'll just copy SVG code. We'll head back over here. Drag an embed in. Come on, computer. All right. Paste in the code here. And then get the width of the entire icon. Do 100%. Height of the entire icon, 100%. And then current color for these guys. So that way it inherits from the parent's font color. All right. Cool. And then this is about 21 pixels. Convert that over. Oop, 21. There we go. All right. What did I name this? Projects button? Projects button icon. Give it the same width and height. And let's do flex on the parent. What did I do? There we go. Let's center And I'll do text align center in case these ever stack on mobile too. And then we'll flex the parent like so. And what kind of margin are we looking at? 12 pixels. Cool. I'll add that to the icon since it's the only thing with a class this time. And I'll paste one of these icons in here. Someone said, big fan, so good to join you live. You really helped me out with your content. So big thank you. God bless. Oh, thanks so much, Josh. You should have your own agency. I've thought about it a couple times, but I really enjoy working with other people and not just a solo gig, which I know it could become more than a solo gig. And then I've really learned a lot from the people that I work with and continue to learn a lot from them, which is cool. But my full-time or my long-term ambition is to go full-time with YouTube and Patreon and all of that. So definitely the long-term goal. Current color. Current color. All right. So now we can just add a combo class of active onto this one and do this and do that. And let's also add a transition to the base class right here. All properties, and then whenever we click on one of these, oh no, don't delete. Okay. Let's write the jQuery for it real quick. When we click of one of these guys, we get the one we clicked on. We find a sibling with the same class that should have a combo class of active, which it does. Right there. And then we want to remove the class from it of active. And then one more step, we get the trigger element again, and we add the class of active onto that guy. And then we'll just copy all this, head back over to Webflow. And this is going to be changing grid or list view. Cool, that works good, or should work good anyway. We can publish and check it out. Let's see. Yeah, I don't get it either, honestly, Jesse. I'm really grateful for all of you guys who've been following, and honestly, this whole thing started out as just me sharing things that I thought were cool, things that helped me in my own agency work, and hopefully it helps others too. But it's really fun, so definitely would love to just keep doing this. All right. So, next up, collection list. All right, I didn't even build out a collection for this yet. Okay. Let me think this through. So we have a couple key types: development, UI, illustration. They're each going to have their own templates. So I'll probably just have one templates collection, and then we'll filter by these guys. So we can call this industry, or they're really all in the same industry. We'll call it skills. And we'll create one called development. We'll create another one, UI design. And our last one was illustration. Cool. All right, and then templates. And here we'll just have a single reference field. select skill, and we'll pull it from the skills collection, make it required. So we have what, a title. We can have downloads and likes, just so those look a little dynamic. I'm just going to do it plain text. Downloads, just for the purpose of the tutorial. It doesn't actually need to pull in live data. Just needs to look like it. So we got downloads, likes, and an image. All right. And that should be it. Yeah. Cool. Let's go ahead and create a card. Let's pick development, since that's the page we're working on. Downloads, we'll just copy this text in here. And likes, just plug that in there. Image, I think I still need to get a better image that doesn't get all cropped off like that at that aspect ratio, but let's just pull this in for now. A live data tutorial could be cool. All right. So let me just duplicate this and create, and one more. And now we can pull in our collection list right here. Cool. What will we be? I guess I could reuse the same structure for both of these. It's just a 3-column grid. That way we're not having to like create multiple classes. So this will pull from templates. We're gonna call it CMS wrap, and inside CMS list, inside that CMS item. Coming to No Code Conference, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to. We're thinking at work that our entire team might be able to come, and we make it like a whole group trip. So we'll see. But yeah, that would be really fun. What do I have here? 16 pixels still. Cool. All right, throw in grid, plug that in, and make it a 3-column, and delete that. All right, and this is a template card. So let's just drag in a div block, call it template card. We'll give it the background color of our card. And what's the border radius on this? 20, okay. Just plug that in there. And the image comes next. Let's get the image from the image field and call it template image. Yeah, Josh. So we were just kind of talking about that, and I really like the class naming of it, and also the use of like the information about accessibility. I thought was really helpful. Um, Obviously, like I'm going to be using the wizardry technique, so there's some things about it, like having various container widths, that I just can't use with the wizardry technique. All the containers need to be the same size, and we add different paddings. Um, but yeah, there's like a lot of things about it that I like, and that I do very similar things. So I'm just gonna try and like mash a little bit of what I do with that, and yeah. Why underscores versus dashes? So this is going back to the BEM naming convention, and basically a dash would be like to separate, let's see if I can think this right. So like if I had navbar, that was the parent, and then inside of that, I had a navbar logo link or something. Navbar underscore logo link. So you basically use the underscore to separate elements. So navbar is the div that this div is inside of, the parent, but logo link is the element that's inside of that navbar. So basically that's where we make the distinction. And then if we had another child inside this navbar, maybe it could be navbar, we could call it navbar right menu. So like basically the navbar again is one element, the right menu is an element inside of the navbar. So that's how we make that distinction. And that's why those underscores are important, because if we had navbar right menu like this, is it navbar right is the parent and then menu is like an element inside of navbar right, or is right menu the element? So that's why we need to use underscores and, you know, those dashes to stay organized. So yeah, the 10 column grid with Flexbox is how I do things a lot. Um, at work, we're actually not allowed to use CSS grid just because it's not supported on enough browsers yet. So since this is just a quick tutorial, I'm using grid on this just because it's faster. But the Flex is really clean, especially for mobile when you want more control, like not having to do all these manually positioned items in grid and two columns or whatever. You can easily just adjust the width of the Flexbox child, and it all just really stacks nicely. 42, so that's this here. Plug that in there. It started acting slow again. All right. What was I doing? Height was what? 209. Come on, computer. Don't fail me now. All right. That goes on these images. And their width is 100%, and their fit is cover. Yeah. Believe it or not, we still had to support IE, which is really depressing, but we do a lot of government stuff, and they can only have IE on their machines a lot of times, or big corporations like IT doesn't allow them to install any other browser. So IE's one, and I think like maybe older versions of Safari. I'd have to check the can I use page again, but there's just like a couple older browsers that it doesn't support. But nothing big deal if it's all modern sites. 7 pixels for this bottom div. What is this? All right. Template. What did I call this? Template border. I'm gonna just drag in 7 pixels here. Cool. Background color. Cool. And then the card itself. I think I'm going to create another div for this bottom piece of the card. So just drag that in here. It'll go under the border piece. Template card bottom. What are we looking at padding? 30, 28. We'll just call it an even 30 all the way around. Yeah, when Microsoft itself announces that it's no longer supporting IE, I think it's, just time to pull the plug. Oops, cancel. Wish Webflow would make it easier to edit background color for the client for editor. Yeah, I think I've done some workarounds where you add a field in the CMS that pulls into the CSS for background color, and then they have control over it. So, but yeah, it'd be nice if it was just like an easy thing. Why do I use EMs and not REM? So EMs are relative to the parent font size. REMs are relative only to the HTML, the root element, which we can't affect the root element in Webflow itself. We would have to do that in custom code. So like if we head over here, we would have to basically say HTML if we wanted to change the font size of all our REMs. Font size 20 pixels or something, okay? But then this applies to every breakpoint. So then we would have to add a bunch of media queries. So one for HTML desktop, another for HTML on tablet, mobile, whatever we need to adjust these font sizes on. So it's a little bit trickier to do in Webflow, but I also just love the flexibility of being able to change things directly from the parent font size. Whether that's just like this entire card or like maybe it's a cursor or something, and maybe you say whenever you hover over this, you want to reduce the font size or increase the font size of the parent. And look at that, like the text scales up, the icon scales up, the padding scales up. It's all just scaling and it's beautiful. It's easy to control. And it really opens a lot of possibilities, especially for interactions. I did a tutorial where I had an entire map, and all it states were different SVGs positions with margin. And whenever I would scale up the font size of the map parent, like all the elements, their margin, width, heights, all of it just scales up and down on hover. I was able to create really cool interactions. Um, so yeah, there's just so much flexibility and power with this type of stuff. We've even done things at work where we were developing like a children's game, and we needed it to scale with the browser width just like it does by default, but at a certain aspect ratio it needed to start scaling with the browser height to not crop off the game. And that would be a pain with like using REMs, because it's all based on the HTML font size, and it would scale up the entire website up or down. But since I was using EMs, it was really easy to just grab the parent div of the game, and with JavaScript adjust the font size of that one element from viewport width to VH at a certain aspect ratio, and then everything sort of scaled and didn't get cropped. And it's just a lot more flexible than everything being based off only one value, which is the HTML, having full control from the parent. And I mean, the reason why people don't like REMs sometimes is because if you do increase the font size too much, they start to compound on each other. So like if I increase the font size of this container to 2 REM, right now you'll notice everything jumps to 2 times the size, which is really large. And then if I set this to like 4, then that's 4 times of the original 2 times of the container. So they start to stack up. So to avoid that, I basically just don't stack anything twice. Use it just like you would if you were using REMs, but you have a little bit of flexibility. So if I want to stack something like this one here, I'll stack it up 2 REM. Sure, why not? But if I mean 2 EMs, but if I do that, then I'm not going to change the font size of any children inside there, because I'm only going to do it once instead of double stacking. So hopefully that uh, answers some questions. But yeah, I just personally prefer EMs because they're very flexible. Um, so you use EMs for margin and padding too? Yep, pretty much everything. Except for like really, really small borders. Like this is a 1 pixel border. There's no reason to make that scale because it's just going to get too small. So things like 1 pixel elements are fine. Sometimes I'll have paragraph text just 8 pixels if I have a reasonable container size that doesn't get too wide to where the paragraph text starts to get too wide. So um, but yeah, basically just smaller elements can be pixels, everything else, EMs all the way. So yeah, let's see, what do we have here? I'm just going to guess that this may be like an H4. What is that? 30, 30. Let's just call it an H4 size. So drag in a heading, H4. Tricks University honestly wouldn't be a bad idea. Ever think of releasing a full premium course for beginners, expert level? Yeah, I mean, one of my ideas was to release a beginners level course by the end of this year. So I fell a little bit behind with that. So I don't think I'll hit the end of this year mark, but it's definitely something I want to pursue and do in the future. And then who's to say maybe a beginner level course one day, but it just feels like there's so much beginner content out there, like really good beginner content. Why recreate something that already exists and that's already done well? So, and even Webflow University covers the majority of like beginner level content you would need. Um, so I don't know. Like, I'm definitely leaning, if I did do a course, to being more of an advanced level sort of course in the future. Let's see. Let's pull this into name. Is this going to stay live? No. So, for these live streams, I've just been like, whoever's here, that's who we'll like hang out with, and I'm not really like saving these later on for rewatch, but that's okay because you know uh, I've been doing a couple of these whenever there's time, and it's just low pressure. Uh, we can just hang out, chat, and it doesn't have to be like high quality produced, like top level for a tutorial that everyone's going to watch later. So yeah, let's see. I need to pull this text from, oh, I already did. Okay, cool. 30, and this is set to unitless. Okay, cool. And then these are going to be, I don't even know what to call these. We'll call it template stats because that's basically what it is. Am I reusing these exact same stats somewhere else? Yes, I am. So these can just be general stats. So actually, we'll just start a new component named stats. It won't be based off the parent called template. And then inside that, we'll have these. So drag in a div. It would be stats, item. We need an icon. I'll just export this out. We'll call it download. And we'll call this one heart. And that's 50% the original opacity. Cool. Let's upload those two. Assets, heart, and download. Cool. What do we call this? Stats icon. Looks like the width is about, what, 25? 25-ish. And we'll set the fit to contain. Drag in some paragraph text. Call this stats text. And this is the thing that needs to be, I think, 50% opacity. Like so. And then we can pull this from downloads. And we can flex it like so. And then we can duplicate. And we'll pull this one from likes. And we'll change out the icon to be the heart. And then what is the margin? 10. Cool. And then let's flex the entire parent. 34. All right, and what's the padding looking like? Or margin there, 28. Yeah, it's just been whenever I'm free, I've been going live. And whenever I have something to work on that's YouTube related. So, um yeah, Jesse, if you message me, I can send you the direct URLs to them. It was really only one other so far where I did a little bit of the design yesterday, but this is all just gearing up for a tutorial that's going to be on my main channel. But yeah, let's see. Needs to make a Figma extension. Yeah, honestly, Figma, it would save a step because then you're not having to go to the wizardry site, calculate it. You can do it in Figma and copy it into Webflow. Um, but yeah, it would save a step. The coolest thing is if it would be in Webflow itself. You just type in the pixel value and it automatically converts it to EMs. That would be nice. But, uh, why am I using padding instead of margin in these situations? So the only reason I'm using padding here is just easier to select this stats div. I have this whole piece right here, which I mean, could really just click on this and hit the up arrow a couple times and get to it, but I just like having a piece right there to select. So yeah, that is the cards, I think. Why SVG icon over icon fonts from Google Materials and Font Awesome? Honestly, I mean, those could probably be great. I haven't used them before. A lot of times it's a very specific icon that I need to use, like one that we've designed for a reason to be there. So I have to upload custom ones, but just like a Google Materials could work pretty well. Um, let's see. All right, so I mean, that's everything for that part. I think we can basically add in the featured card, which should be pretty simple. I'll just grab the CMS wrap and paste it up here. And I'm going to add a combo class one to the list, I think. That is one item. And that's just going to delete two of these. And then we'll basically limit it to only show one and start at one. And for this one, we'll limit it to show 100 and start at 2. So that way the first item is always featured up here. And we need to flex this some sort of way. Jesse said font awesome also adds a lot of loading weight. Yeah, that makes sense. What can I do? I had already added a combo class as one item. I wonder if flex would just work if I just, oops, if I just flex this, stretch. Did that make the grid? It made the wrap all the way, but this list, give it a height of 100%. Cool. The item isn't quite tall enough. No, the item is. It's the card. So I could probably add 100% height here and it's not going to hurt anything on those bottom cards. Cool, yeah. And then this image, I'm just going to have to add a combo class is alt and make the height 100% of the available space, which means the parent template card needs flex like so. But its height is 100%. What am I doing wrong here? I put flex on this. Maybe this one needs 100% height? Nope. Width and height to 100%. 18 must be on the body fonts. Oh, you're talking about the SVGs. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I might not. I wanted the image to take up the available space, but I might not be able to do that. I'm sure there's a way. It's just a matter of figuring it out. Why whenever I add this on, and this is set to flex, so it should, it's so weird. I guess it's, what if I did? Nope. I don't know. Weird stuff. I'll have to troubleshoot that another time. Show them the XD copy and paste. Okay. So yeah, any icon like these guys that I want to use, all I have to do is click on it, right click, copy SVG code, and then head over to an embed on the page and paste in that code, and then give it the width of 100% of the parent, which in this case is the embed, a height of 100% of the parent, and then the fills to the current color variable, which just means they're going to inherit their color from the parent's font color. Oops, like so. And then this is really good for interactions and different things. If I can type this right, because now we can set the size of the icon using the size on the parent, like so. And we can set the color on the icon using the parent's font color, like this. On hover, click, whatever we want to do, and we have full control over the icon. So yeah. Think you need a fixed title in the container. Yeah, I'm wondering about that too. I don't want to do that just in case I did ever add more text to this. I want it to be able to like stack, you know. So yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Usually when I apply flex on the parent like this, then I can set a height of 100% to the child, and it only takes up the available space of the parent, not the entire thing. But I don't know what's going on there. It's really weird. All right, so last thing, this little featured card. I'm gonna have to add another div structure to this, I think. We'll call it featured wrap, and the stats would go inside there, and then the featured wrap would be set to flex, center, and justify, and then I don't even know what to call the pill. We'll just say featured, oops, if I spell it right, featured, what do we call this? Tag. Cool. Yep, it's a tag. Did I accidentally drag this outside of card bottom? I did. Whoops. Okay, there we go. The tag has, what was that, paragraph text? No, that's our H6 style. It's because they're not attached CMS cards. Let's see. Featured tag will be paddings of 24, and we'll call it 5. 24. It did that thing where I typed too fast again and it gave me the wrong value. I need to fix that at some point. 24 and 5. All right. What I use for the background color here, it's just the dark background. This one, and radius 100% or 100 viewport width, and then the color yellow, and then the name should just be featured. I think what I'm gonna do is align this to the bottom like so, so we get it nice and nest it there. I may add just a teeny bit more padding right there. Looks pretty good. I wonder if I can at the very least, do this. Okay, that's something. And then I could just flex that. Better. Okay, now at least it's anchored. All right, so that's the featured card. That's everything for this page, I think. Let me go ahead and make this into a symbol real quick, just so call it, well, I already do have my global stuff. So I'll just drag this navbar into the global. That way we're not creating tons of symbols. And let me rename that symbol too. Just keep it simple. Global. Cool. All right, we got that set up. All right. That is good. So next page up is going to be this one. Um, I can just probably duplicate this page, create a new one. Not much is going to have to change really. This is going to be the tutorials page. So we'll make this link go to a page called this one, and we'll get that little dot. And let's call this tutorials. And give this tutorials. I'm just gonna pull all this. I don't know why. It's just my OCD kicking in doing that there. Because it's really, this won't be a live site anywhere. No need to adjust the SEO for it. But all right. Yeah, I'm gonna take this and put it in the project stuff instead of page settings, because it needs to go on every page. So we'll just jump over to project settings real quick. A JS function that finds the height of your left header and make the height of that featured card. Yep. Yeah, it feels like a little overkill, right? There's gotta be a way, man. I know I've done it before, which is what's frustrating. It's probably just one little thing that isn't set right that's making it not work. But okay. All right, jumping back into the designer. All right, let's thanks so much, Jesse. That's really kind of you to say. All right, this is going to pose a little problem. This card right here, I think I'm going to have to remove it because of what I have planned for this favorite it things. So that means that this is going to have to become full width, like so, which looks a little empty with this guy, but I maybe will make this larger and call it a day. I don't know. Let's see what that does. Yeah, it's okay for now. All right, so jumping back into tutorials, we have this hero grid. I don't think we need the grid part of it, so I can drag the header out, delete that, give this a combo class of is templates, change the background color to green, which means the waves will need to be changed too. Do I like the position of these waves? I might move them over a little bit. These were the ones I said I needed to adjust and just didn't have time to adjust them. Yeah, they're gonna be good for now. So we'll drag this out. We'll delete this guy, and we'll remove this background color and remove this padding. Usually I would export these out as separate pieces and position them around the background, so that way when we make it responsive, we have control over where these fall. But I'm just making this really simple for now because I'm probably not going to create a responsive version for this one. Let's see. We'll just call it, what did I call the first one? Background SVG1, background SVG2. Cool. So then we can replace this image with this one. All right. And the image here is going to have to be more of a background image, I think. Man, I probably should have. No, I was going to say I should have exported these out together, but these are SVGs and this one here is a PNG, so probably good that we're just keeping it like this. Fidgeting with it a little. That's good. All right, let's remove the background color. And let's call this, call it background PNG. All right. We won't need the image. We're going to upload this as a background image this time. Background PNG.png. Oh, man. All right. Set it to center, cover, no tile, and bam. All right. And this is called tutorials. Cool. All right. Still keep the grid view, so that stays the same. This is going to be all development tutorials in the header instead of templates. And these cards, you name the combo classes is template, even though it's on the tutorials page. Did I? Whoops. Wait, where was that? Or these guys, you mean these cards? They're gonna get deleted anyway because we need a unique card design here. The only thing that we're keeping is this, but I didn't name this templates. I just named it stats because I knew we were going to reuse it here. I don't know. I may have missed something though. Just let me know. So yeah, the card goes goodbye. This is just called CMS wrap list and item. So that stays. And then now we just need these cards. Let's create a new collection and call it tutorials. Cool. And then the name stays the, what we call this? This is views and likes. So it can be plain text views. Create another one, plain text likes. So we have the views, we have the likes, and we need the author. So let me just create this collection, create a new collection called authors that'll just have a name and a photo. And let's create that. All right, let's just upload a couple of these photos for now. I think I'm going to remove the border radius if I can. Oh, I probably can't. I probably made these as circles. That's okay. They're going to be circles on the live thing anyway. I'll make it a little bit larger and without getting pixelated, something like that. And export this. Author 1 PNG. Cool. Let's grab this one. Roughly the same size, doesn't have to be exact. Export that out. Author 2. And let's get author 3. You save all your assets out at 1xd or 1x, sorry. Usually I think I usually run them through tiny png too, just to make sure they're compressed and optimized and all that. But yeah, usually 1x, and I try to only export the original assets, not usually like I just did where I'm sizing this up and doing that stuff, just so I get the best file size possible. But yeah. Catch you later. Have a good night. Let's see. So let's plug in the name. Let's call this author 1. Create. Create another one. I'll change out the names later. And this is this one. God, that came out so pixelated. Maybe it's because I exported at one. It looks okay when it's smaller though, which is how we'll be using it. All right. So these are the tutorials cards. So we'll basically just drag a div into the item. Tutorial card. All right. And let us drag in the stats. And what did I create that heading? I think in H6. Probably shouldn't have deleted the H4. It had to be an H4. All right. And then this is 20 pixels padding or a radius. What's the padding set to on all sides? 30 on all sides. All right. Set a background color. Cool. This is going to be a different icon, this one. So let's export that out. SVG, views. Just change out the icon. This one, we don't have to limit it. I can just pull in. Oh, and I'm still pulling from the wrong collection. I need to update that too. Okay. So we'll create a few tutorials. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to reference the author's collection. Let's do that real quick. Create a single reference called authors. And okay, that should do it. All right. So we'll just copy this for now. Views and likes. And pull from the first author. And that's all we need there. And duplicate. Is that website for you or just a concept? Yeah, so this website is just a concept for a tutorial I'm going to come out with. So I needed a little UI design to show the concept for the next tutorial. So that's kind of what I'm working on here. Yeah, so this won't be a real site anywhere. So author part is next. I should probably link up the correct collection. So let's just drag that in here. Let's do a, what was this, tutorials. Call this CMS wrap. Cool. And CMS list. Oh no, okay, undo. Can I not undo that far? Oh wow. CMS item. I keep hitting enter, I guess, or my computer's doing something weird. Let's drag in a tutorial card. And let me just unlink a couple of these things. Like so. I probably could have just copied the whole card and then pasted that inside the item. Cool. And then we can delete the old one and we can link this one up to views. Link this one up to likes. And link this up to the correct headings. And then we'll drag in a div underneath. Call this tutorial bottom. Is there a way to make a rectangle rounding smoother like Apple's design language? I'm sure there is with like custom CSS somewhere. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know when I did that GUI card tutorial, and it basically sharpens the object, or sorry, it blurs the object and then sharpens that back up. It created that effect where the corners were super rounded and smooth and arched. So that was using an SVG filter, but there's got to be like simpler ways to do it too. All right, let's create a tag called author. And then let's drag in an image, which is here. Author image. Let's pull it from this photo. And 61 here and here. And let's get the text from the author name. And we can flex. And we're looking at 18 for the margin. Yeah, I know. If Safari would just like support it, it would be really awesome. Safari feels like if it's not careful, it could easily become the next IE later on down the road one day. Just because it's like it feels like it's always lagging behind what all the other browsers are doing. But maybe that's just my opinion. So I'm realizing now that I probably should have named this differently. Let's see. No, these are different styles. I was going to try and reuse this class down here, but it's fine. So what is this one called? This will be called saved. And it will have some padding, 31 and 15. Say 15. And what, 12 for the radius. And round that off here. And the default style for it is this guy. So it needs a black background. And we'll drag in a little bit of paragraph text. We'll call it saved text. And it starts off actually by saying save. Cool. Oops. That looks so tiny. I guess let's add the icon in and see what happens. All right, so we'll copy this code. Wonder if I just use this one again. Like some of the styles are similar, and then some just are different. It's like, where do you draw the line? I bet you I didn't figure that padding out right. There we go. That's the issue. Cool. Let's copy this icon. So if this is going to be a global, like not relative to that component, I'll just call it a button icon so I can use it anywhere. Let's give it a width of 100%. Feel like we've done this one step so many times tonight. With 100%, hide 100%, fill current color. Call it a day. Cool. All right. And then we need to create a class for our, what do we want to call this? Selected, I guess. We would do background color and text color. And we would probably add a transition like so. So when we add it, nice, fills in, remove it, fades off, cool. All right, so that is those right there. Let's add some margin, 104. Oops, why did I type 105? Anywho, actually dropping it in. I did it wrong again, y'all. All right, cool. So that is looking good there. Tutorials, we have the whole card. That looks great. Okay, yeah, that came together quicker. Oh man, I never did the footer, and I'm just realizing that. We'll circle back around to it. Okay. Let's duplicate this page. We're calling this favorites. And create. All right. So this is its own sort of grid. What I call the other one? Hero grid. Could be fine. Could you reuse the same class? What do we need here? All of our cards, huh? Okay. So we'll head over to favorites. We will paste in this hero grid. Give it a class of is alt. No, wait, that's right. Okay. That is correct. Okay, and then we'll delete this one. And this is called, this is just our favorites. I love this little illustration so much. I don't know why. It just looks really cool. This one, header left, we'll say is favorites. Why not? And make it blue. And then we're going to go with the yellow ones. What's the height on this one? 752. Why did that not copy? Cool. We'll set that min height here. And we have these cards, which we can just delete those guys. We won't have this entire bottom piece here. Wait, I do need this cards here to go inside the right section. I think I already created a combo class called is one item. Cool. I love when we can just reuse classes like that and speed up a workflow. It's really nice. See you later, Noah. All right. So then I was imagining this piece being kind of sticky, possibly. So this would just be position sticky from the top. Set it to 20 EM or something for now. It's too much. What does it do? 0. It doesn't stick at all. I'm gonna have to give this an insane height just so we can see that it's scrolling. Cool. So we need this header left to be sticky away from the nav bar, like so. Cool, cool. All right, that should work. We can remove that height. All right, and the illustration and the lines are next. I think for the sake of time, I'm just gonna save this all out as one thing. Let's see. Call this background PNG 2. I think this is our second one. Cool. Can delete that. We can replace the image with this one, and that looks good there. All right, we have this basic structure there. This is all good. This is still should be good. So I think I might just have the footer left to do. Looking over this all one more time. Yeah, I'm thinking that might be all we have left to do. Oh, let me link this up to this page real quick. Page, favorites, nice. Tutorials, templates. I feel like there was something I thought about just a second ago, like, oh, do that, and okay, we'll just go on to the footer then. All right, so we already have this section. We'll just drag another div onto the page and give it the class of section and drag another one inside there. Give it the class of container. Just out of habit, tagging this as footer. And the section is going to be the thing that needs the top border. So give it a combo class of as footer. And it should just be 1 pixel, 14%. Okay. Cool. And I think the logos are the same size, and I gave this a class that it should be able to reuse anywhere logo. So we can just paste that guy in there. Did I ever link him up to the home page though? I don't think so. Don't think I did. Whoops. Cool. And then we have this little copyright. Just paste it in. It's 50%. Right. Something like that. Cool. And this can be, I'll have to give the container a class of footer as well. And then this one can be footer left, and it will hold the logo and the copyright piece, and the container should be set to flex, top, distribute. Whoops, did I not drag this in there? Cool, there we go. And then we'll just drag in another div. Let's call this footer right. And then we have our columns. I think I'm just going to use grid here too. All right. No, I can't use grid because grid's going to make them all the same space, and I want it to be based on the amount of content we have. Okay, so we will call it footer column. This was my H4 style. It also needs to be in a link block so that it can be clickable to the home page or to its respective pages anyway. This is a footer, what did we call it? Main link. And then underneath that, we'll have another link block in the column, footer sublink. And that would be the paragraph. And it would say templates. Just for good measure, I'm going to give that a class in case I ever need to change it before I make a ton of them. Cool. And then we'll just duplicate that. Let's do flex on here to get them to stack. And this is tutorial right there. And then we got favorites here. And what are we looking like spacing wise? Should be 13. And we'll just add that margin. And there needs to be a little bit of extra space on the bottom of this one here. So maybe something like so. All right. And then we can duplicate the column a couple times and flex the parent. And the space is like 105. We'll add that. Let's add it as padding, because why not? UI design and illustration. Cool. I mean, that's pretty clean. I mean, that's our whole footer. And then this would just be create a symbol called footer. And now, because I didn't do this before, I have to go to each page and paste it in. All right. Yeah, that's looking good. Let's just publish and check it all out. All right, so we have these cards, position sticky, looking good. We have our footer here. We can go to templates, and this is all our templates here. And then we can go to tutorials, and we have our tutorials here. We're going to work on sorting out that. Oh, that's what I thought of. I need to design a list view for each of these. Yeah. So that's something that's going to have to be done. But yeah, okay. And then this is updating there. I'll still need to link these to different pages. But yeah, that's a start, it's getting somewhere. We basically have the UI of it mostly built at this point, and then from here it's really just sorting out the functionality. So all right, well, thanks so much for joining in and hanging with me. This was fun, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. So see y'all later.